Welcome to Love in the Love Boat, where we break down episodes of one of the greatest romantic comedy drama television series of all time. I'm Istvan, Chicagoland's beloved children's musician and TV fanatic.
And I'm Michelle, pop culture enthusiast.
So come aboard, we're expecting you to join us for another edition of
Love in the Love Boat.
Hi, you guys. Welcome back.
Hello.
And if you listened to the last show, I was ailing, and I did not sound like myself because I had literally gotten sick with you-know-what for the first time. But I am feeling like 100 times better. So we are both back in the studio. And Michelle,
yeah,
the time I spent away from you felt like an eternity. More like an all-expenses-paid vacation.
Are you doing that thing from the show? Guys, on this episode, they are using for the very first time the storytelling device of the inner monologue.
That's right. Maybe I was using it.
Very clever. Too bad Ben Jolson and Art Bear used it first.
That is correct, Michelle's inner monologue. And I've been promising to give a little background information on some of these writers that keep reappearing. So today is the day. Born in Washington Heights, New York, he attended and graduated New York University, where he later began his career as writing for the radio program The Robert Q. Lewis Show, and meeting his partner, Ben Jolson. With Jolson, they both produced and wrote for television programs. Now check this out. The Odd Couple, amazing. The Andy Griffith Show, and its spin-off Gomer Pyle, the dreaded Gomer Pyle. But also The Jeffersons, something that we've watched all the time. Good Times, which we watched all the time. One of our absolute favorites in this house, The Partridge Family.
Yes. Chico and the Man, which I watched as a kid. I loved that show when I was a kid.
We were just talking about how large Happy Days was in our life growing up. And one of the touchstones for, I think, what created our comedy beginnings, the Carol Burnett Show. Get Smart, which I watched all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The Dick Van Dyke Show, which is one of the best sitcoms of all time.
Even Evie, our daughter, watches them.
It's incredible still to this day. You can watch it, I believe, on Netflix. It's amazing. A show that I didn't watch, though, Car 54, Where Are You? And in 1972, Bear won a Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Writing Achievement in Variety or Music. He retired his career in 1997, last writing for the television series Wings, which was a great show, too. Very funny
I loved
show.
Wings.
So this guy had an amazing career. Both of them did. So I'm so glad that we looked this up because you can tell why we like all this because most of those shows were amazing.
Hear that glass clanging? Before we get into the episodes, we finally took the time and made ourselves the Isaac.
I am really enjoying it.
It's really delicious. If you haven't been on our Instagram page, Isaac goes through the recipe Ted Lange goes through the recipe and tells you how to make it. It's really quite delicious.
Although it is not easy to get pomegranate syrup, I have found. It's not the easiest task. I went to a couple places and it was kind of tough to find. So I actually had to order it, but it was well worth it.
Definitely refreshing.
Okay, so let's get into it, shall we?
Yes.
All right, so let's start with our storylines. Today we have Lonely at the Top, written by Gordon and Lynn Farr, who actually, I don't know if you noticed, Michelle, they actually, I think, directed maybe this whole episode or something like that. They had double duty of writing a storyline and I think directing it too.
Their names come up a lot.
Producers of the show. We also have Silent Night, written by the men, Ben Jolson and Art Bear. And finally, we have Divorce Me Please, written by Bruce Howard. All right, Michelle, can you give the names of our guest stars?
Sure. Stars are John Gavin, who I wasn't terribly familiar with. I don't know if you were. Had to do a little research on him. And
Playing
then,
a wrongfully convicted lawyer.
Yes. And then his wife was played by the great Donna Mills.
Yes.
Who I was very familiar with from Knots Landing.
See, I didn't watch those
really?
shows.
Oh,
no,
God.
No.
She was like a main character.
She was
Knots
great on
Landing.
this as a very supportive and loving wife.
Literally ageless, too.
Yes.
She's really was good on this. And then moving on, we had the great Florence Henderson.
Yeah, she's the best.
Always. Dick Sargent. Everybody knows who he is.
Yes, and he plays a priest on this episode.
Pretty good one.
Yeah, he was very good.
And then also on this is Shecky Green.
Hey, Shecky.
Still alive.
You heard his name constantly growing
You really
up.
did. It was Jerry Lewis Telethon.
Never did not hear Shecky Green being referenced as far as comedy, but I truly didn't even know that that's what he looked like. But yeah, Shecky Green is playing Florence Henderson's
It kind
husband.
of looks like our neighbor, Rick. Because now when I look at him, I think of
Oh my
Shecky
God.
Green. Look at Rick next time. You can cut that out.
Okay. Yeah, guys, he looks like Rick. Shecky Green looks like Rick, just so you know.
He cuts his lawn a lot.
All right, so from the beginning, a couple little continuity things, Michelle, I just wanted to check out if you noticed. When people were getting onto the ship, there was the same guy in a brown leather jacket that got on the ship twice in a row. Like he came
I did
by.
not notice that. I
It's
wish
like
I did.
when Florence Henderson came on, he walked by getting on the ship, and then when whoever else came on, he walked by and exactly the same thing. And did you notice the guy in the ascot and the mustache that was like throwing confetti?
I
And-
did.
Oh my God, that guy was incredible.
I was hoping he was a character later
Yeah,
on
me
in the
too.
show.
No, he was pretty awesome. But how did it begin? Who came on the cruise first?
I feel like it was it Shecky Green and Florence Henderson? No, I think it was Donna Mills and
Yeah, and this is heavy because this is super, super soap opera type of a storyline, and it's super heavy from the get-go. And they both hop on. Well, actually, hang on. Maybe we should go back for a second because we're not mentioning that this is a very special episode. This is the Christmas episode.
Oh, that's true. It did start off with them talking about the holidays and how they all, for the first time, were going to be on the cruise during Christmas, with the exception of the captain. Everybody else is usually at home. So they're all going through their home stories of what they do at home at Christmas.
Yeah, and then the captain rolls up on them all discussing this stuff, and he kind of establishes a bit of a Scrooge storyline.
You see, sir, we're all feeling a little homesick about having to spend Christmas aboard.
Really? I've never done anything else.
Oh, but, sir, wouldn't you rather spend Christmas with your family than at sea?
Miss McCoy, as you know, I'm divorced. My family consists of my father and his new wife, and they live in Florida. So as far as I'm concerned, Christmas is just another working day. And speaking of work...
Yes, sir.
Right, yes, sir, I gotta see something.
Sir, I know that we don't normally exchange presents, but I was thinking that seeing as how we're going to be at sea on Christmas Day, we could...
Mr. Smith, a rule is a rule. No presents.
Aye, aye, sir. Scrooge lives.
Now, Michelle, when we were kids, I always really liked Christmas episodes because they were always like a little different or a little bit weird.
Yeah.
And I always enjoyed them. And this really, I think, delivers on that level.
Definitely.
In its own special Love Boat way. So I really, really like this episode. All right. So then let's say like Florence Henderson and Shecky Green come on using complete inner monologue.
Oh, darling, this is wonderful. I'm so glad you brought me on this cruise.
I'm glad I brought you too. If I didn't bring you, I would have to kiss you goodbye. It'll be fun. Just the two of us at sea.
Oh, yes, it will.
I'd rather be in a swamp with Idi Amin.
And they obviously are not happy with one another, correct?
Correct. They are actually trying to figure out a way to tell each other that they want a divorce.
Yeah.
So go on a cruise.
Right. Beyond that, they are our comic relief throughout this, even though they're constantly sniping at one another in their own heads and wanting to find ways to split.
As we've learned from other episodes of The Love Boat, there's always the fighting couple. There's almost always a fighting old school
Yes.
couple on this.
Yes. But we have another couple who have stood by one another and had the bonds of their relationship tested by the husband having been wrongfully accused of a crime and spending 3 long years in jail.
Honey? Relax.
I can't help it. I think everyone's staring at me. I feel like I'm wearing a sign that says ex-con.
You've got to get that out of your head. You're not a criminal. You never were. You were innocent.
Yes, I know that. You know that. Too bad the jury didn't know that.
I can't erase the last 3 years. You got a raw deal, but that's behind you now. Let's make a brand new start on our future, huh?
Okay.
And this is intense. This is an intense one. The acting that's involved in this, the commitment to one another in this relationship.
Yeah, I mean, he had just gotten out of prison and he's trying to acclimate himself. So they took a cruise to kind of just probably get reacquainted with each other again and spend some time away from the real world.
Yeah, and just kind of like recalibrate basically after something as tumultuous as that in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But then
his law partner shows up on the cruise.
Well, actually, you know what? He knew he was going to be
Yeah,
on the cruise.
I was going to do what are the chances? But then later on, like, they have a discussion, Donna Mills and her husband, that he knew that he was going to be on the cruise. And apparently he represented him in his trial, and he still ended up getting convicted. And we learned that he is repeatedly saying he's an innocent man.
Yeah, all that was a little confusing. It was a little clunky because, you know, like if he's...
It's kind of like Ozark, where he took the fall for his partner.
And Marty Bird.
Bird did.
And Wendy Bird comes on. Yeah, but that's what's confusing is that, like, he represented him, but then I thought the guy knew. Like, he's on the boat to get revenge, but it's like, if that's the case, then I was thinking like, well, then why did you let him represent you? There's some confusion to this, which we will get to for sure. As far as this storyline is concerned, it's not so much convoluted as completely off the rails in a certain respect. But I do like the storyline because, you know, terrible things happen, and this is a truly traumatic scenario that these people have gone through, and you see a wife really standing by her husband and trying to help him through this crazy ordeal.
Yeah, and I assume she obviously knew he was innocent of the crimes.
Yeah, that's the thing that's weird, that he still went to jail and all that for all of that. That's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Wait, we forgot to even touch upon who else got onto the ship.
Yes.
Dick Sargent as a priest. The crew all knows that every year some sort of anonymous person pays for a bunch of orphans to come onto the cruise, to enjoy a cruise. And Dick Sargent comes on.
He's the chaperone. And
we get a quick roll call of all the orphans.
Julie, I'd like you to meet Mario, Artie, Ben, Mitch, Peanut, and Tony.
Hello.
I did a little research on some of the orphans. I was really hoping like some of them would have turned out to be somebody that maybe went on to greater things. A couple of them continued to act. One is still acting today, but nothing.
Who?
The one that played Peanut.
Shorty?
Yeah, Shorty. He's still acting here and there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but the other ones really are not. They were child actors, and that was pretty much it. But I thought they were funny.
Yeah, they were good. They were all trying to get drunk throughout the entire...
Yeah, classic trying to steal drinks.
Here's to you, orphans. I am enjoying this Isaac right now. All right, but that's the thing. We were talking about how in the last episode you saw sort of like this sort of vindictive side of Captain Merrill Stubing, where he was, you know, sort of going head to head, which also I forgot to even mention because I had COVID head myself, that you never mess with a chef. Never upset the kitchen. And he's going head to head with Chef Borga from the last episode. You never want to screw around with the people that are preparing your food. Why would you do that? That is ridiculous. Although I guess he had purchased TV dinners. I'm sorry to deviate on that. But the reason I bring it up is because on this episode, you really do get this sort of like revealing side of Captain Merrill Stubing, where he comes across the priest, Dick Sargent, on the, you know, like the deck of the ship in the evening. And Merrill kind of has like a little mini therapy session with him.
Hi, Merrill.
Oh, hi, Father Mike. How are the kids?
Oh, they're getting ready for dinner. I only had to break up one water fight and one soap fight. Well, at least they'll come to dinner clean.
You're good with kids.
They're just short people.
Maybe that's why you're a priest and I'm a captain. I understand the sea. People.
Something on your mind?
Me? No. It's nothing.
Nothing can weigh a ton, can it?
Well, it's just so silly. Here I am on a ship full of people and
you're lonely. And it's Christmas, and that's blowing it all out of proportion.
I told you it was silly.
And that's what steams me about Christmas. It's supposed to bring people closer. So often it isolates them. Well, Merrill, you must have friends on the crew?
Best, they tolerate me.
You're not only lonely, you're feeling sorry for yourself, too.
Mike, I want to be friendly with my crew, but I'm the captain. I mean, I can't be their friend and leave them, too.
So now after their talk, Captain Merrill Stubing goes around to each of his crew members and tries to get to know them a little better, try to take an interest in what they're doing. And there's like a really funny interaction with him and Isaac where he does like some soul talk and they do like a soul shake. And Isaac's totally confused by the whole thing.
Captain Merrill Stubing pulls a total Bee Gees and starts jive talking.
Hey, man. What's happening?
Excuse me, sir. I was just on my way up to the lounge.
Oh, well, I can dig that. You have to split. That's cool. Well, I'll lay some words on you later. Give me 5.
Sir, is your malaria acting up again? Listen, I'll go to your quarters and get your pills for you.
Being a pal isn't going to be easy.
But his soul shake was right on. I was super impressed.
Yeah, I guess it was. Isaac was a little taken aback by it.
It almost made me think of an airplane. I speak jive.
Oh, my God. Back to your Leslie Nielsen.
Always Leslie Nielsen.
But yeah, so like that was a really funny scene because the way that he plays that stuff off, he is so funny because he really sticks to this stuffy character, and those sorts of things are really always make me laugh a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But then shortly after that, we see the very upset character played by John Gavin. I can't remember his name though, actually, the dude's name.
No, me neither.
He's storming around the ship all upset, understandably so.
Surprised he wasn't smoking a pipe.
Oh, yeah, that would have been great.
Missed opportunity there, Love Boat.
But he and his wife go down to get a drink, and disgusting looking pina coladas. I can't deal with like the way that a pina colada looks, but they go there, and then see, I thought that it was just one of these Love Boat happenstance things where, oh, what a coincidence.
I think we all did.
Yeah, like that, oh, we just happened to bump into my old law partner, the person who wronged me, but that is not the case. But they do see that he's there for the first time, and Donna Mills had been telling him that Walt Perry, he was like a good guy, because he was calling all the time and asking if she needed money. And we're learning that like that's all done out of guilt because,
definitely,
this guy's doing time. But Walt Perry didn't even realize that he had been sprung from jail. You think you might want to keep tabs on that.
Absolutely.
When a guy's about to be released from
just
jail.
Just if you represented him, wouldn't they tell you?
Yeah, so he's just on a cruise hitting on women at the bar.
They made him like a kind of sleazeball guy.
Yeah, well, you'd have to imagine that he kind of was.
Yeah.
And then they see him for the first time on the ship. And then, like, again, like Donna Mills is trying to say, like, oh, wow, this is a good thing. But then he tries to get out of there really quick.
Yeah, he's clearly uncomfortable.
Here you go, sir. Guaranteed to bring on a smile.
Thanks. Keep the change.
See, I told you it was guaranteed.
Sure you won't have one?
Hello, Walt.
Dan,
At a loss for words, counselor. I never thought I'd see the day.
Well, no, it's just that I thought that you were still
In prison. No, you see, I was paroled last week. You know, good behavior, that sort of thing.
What?
Lila.
Sake, we were just talking about you last night.
Really? Well, I just can't get over this. It's great. It's just great.
Yes, it's great.
Well, we're going to have a lot to talk about, huh? Unfortunately, I made an appointment with the barber. And you know how they are if you keep them waiting. No sideburns. But look, promise me that we'll get together later, okay? Promise? Gee, this is really a surprise. Fantastic.
We should probably go back and touch a little more on the like Florence Henderson, Shecky Green storyline, which is continuous inner monologues.
But their inner monologue and stuff wasn't necessarily that funny, and they are supposed to be the comic relief on it. They're just kind of highlighting things that are sort of like...
It's just like the classic story of almost like fighting husband and wife, complaining with like, she sings before bed, he gargles. Yeah. It was like nothing like... hilarious.
Weird Foley, man. Weird Foley. Like the weird sound he was making in the bathroom of his nose and stuff like that was like ungodly. So
all
it was
the
like
cold cream on her face was upsetting me.
She's so pretty, Florence Henderson,
she is.
Man. She really is so pretty. And again, like
amazing
he looked
hair.
like Fred Flintstone combined with Barney,
Rubble.
Yeah, as like a human being.
I know. I agree. Like once again, I was like this really pretty woman with this kind of dopey looking guy, and
I
I'm
guess
like,
they all made a lot of money or something like that because it's like such.
And then she had to kiss him, and I was just like, oh, poor Florence Henderson.
But this is the thing.
Sorry, Shecky Green. It is what it is.
Yeah, we apologize, dude. I mean, you're a great guy, but Florence Henderson's out of your league.
Totally.
But it's like the thing is, they're both trying to like figure out what they're gonna do to get the other person basically to like divorce them, right? And they can't come up with anything. So Florence Henderson is like in the shop, like in the store or whatever on the ship, and Doc, being the person that's always like kind of helping people with advice, inadvertently gives really good advice to Florence Henderson of how she can get her husband to divorce him. What's the plan, Michelle?
Spend lots of money, lots of his money.
Because that's how one of his marriages came to an end, because the wife just kept spending tons and tons of money. So then she gets the bright idea, aha. And so she just starts going to town, purchasing all kinds of stuff.
Now, you're the kind of woman I should have married.
I beg your pardon?
Well, my last wife never asked the price of anything.
Is that why you divorced her?
It was either the divorce courts or the bankruptcy courts.
Oh, so she spent you into divorce.
Let me put it this way. If she didn't show up at Tiffany's once a week, they'd send her a get well card.
Oh, well, thanks for the tip. I mean, the warning. Miss, do you sell jewelry? What kind? Expensive.
After this comedic interlude, we have to shift gears. And now we do have a true confrontation between John Gavin, wrongfully convicted lawyer, and his old partner, Walt Perry. He comes across him as he's just sitting out on the deck staring into the sea. And he finally, this is the part that I didn't quite understand, but then it gets revealed that I think he wasn't 100% sure. And he says a little bit later that he needed to look into his eyes to know for certain that he was the person guilty of what he was accused of doing. But they have finally this moment that he's been waiting so long to have.
Dad, my boy. Well, I've been looking all over for you.
Really? Out in the ocean?
You always were a great kidder.
I'm not kidding now, Walt.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, don't do anything foolish.
I've already done something foolish. I served 3 years in prison for something you did, buddy.
Oh, no, Dad, you got to believe me. I didn't want it to happen. It wasn't my fault. Look, I took the money. I admit it. I was in trouble in the market. There was serious trouble, and I really needed that money desperately.
So you set me up?
No, I swear I didn't. Oh, look, Dad, I never thought that you'd be convicted. I always thought I could win you an acquittal, and that way no one would be hurt.
Somebody whispered, Walt.
Dad, please.
Merry Christmas.
All right, but wait, while we're on the spirit of Christmas, let's segue into Captain Merrill Steubing after he tries to learn needlepoint with Julie to get to know her a little bit better.
He's failing at trying to get to know his crew.
So then he decides to dress up like Kris Kringle, Santa Claus himself, to give gifts to the orphans.
Well, now, let's see what Santa has in his bag tonight. Let's see. Well, yes, there's something for Mario. Something for Artie. Yes. Let's see. And Ben. Let's see what we have here. Oh, yes, for Mitch and for Peanut. What's your real name, Peanut?
Shorty.
Right.
I bet it's a baseball name. What about me?
You're
Tony.
Tony, that's right. Yes, well, now, let's see. Tony, Tony, seems that Santa is short one present. It's back at the North Pole. That's where your present is. Now, look, I'll run back. I'll get it, and I'll have it in your cabin first thing in the morning.
How many orphans were there?
6?
6, right? Not a large number, you guys.
No.
Not
and
a number
you had to put them in the bag.
You paid for the trip for these kids, ultimately. Spoiler alert, okay? And then he comes out dressed like Santa Claus to give out gifts to these 4 little orphan kids. And what happens, Michelle?
He's short one gift for Tony, who's been trying to get alcohol this entire time.
Tony is going to... I have to imagine Tony had a hard road as he got a little bit older. And so Gavin's giving out gifts to Mario and to Artie or Arthur, and then to Peanut, and then he forgets Tony, and Tony runs off crying, as well he should.
Right.
And the captain's all downtrodden.
He feels terrible.
Yeah, because he was trying so hard. This was kind of confusing because, again, how would you not know that there's a 6th kid? How do you, forget to give that extra gift, right? And then he goes, he tells Tony, tomorrow there'll be another gift for you. But he does the most beautiful thing, I think, and does the greatest thing that any boy is always hoping for, at the age of around 8 to 10. What does he do, Michelle?
He gives him a sextant.
Wait, a what?
What's it called?
What did you just say?
I don't know.
I want to hear what you just said.
Sextant? What's it called?
Sextant.
That's what I said.
Okay, no, I couldn't hear.
Sextant.
Yeah, he gives them.
I bet Steve Slivka would like it.
I'm sure he has one. Yeah, that's the only boy who would like it. It's he would be excited that he would get this, but other regular normal orphan children.
Obviously not. And I don't understand why he couldn't just go to the gift shop and buy something.
No, you know what he could have given him? He could have given him the TV that's in his office if he's looking around the office for something.
The point of the story is Gavin MacLeod got it from his father, who used it.
Yeah, it's too valuable of a thing to give to an
orphan. It really was.
Kid.
I was thinking a kid but I guess he was hoping maybe then the kid would enjoy it, and then he would
maybe he'd become a future captain of a ship.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think that's where they were going with that.
Well,
Give him some sort of direction.
That's too much. That's just too heavy.
I like when the kid took it. He's like, I'm going to go show the guys.
No, it was kind of sweet because he said this is neat, and then he was excited at the end. I mean, honestly,
because he ultimately got a very special personal gift, not just a football or
it just was a little bit weird. It was really a beautiful gesture, and it was something that had a lot of importance, but in that moment it was just a little odd of a thing to give to a kid because I think he would be too young to really appreciate what he was being given, in the moment. But they are trying to, establish something kind of profound and kind of summing up the best spirit of the season, because they do also talk about how that time of year can make people feel very lonely too. That it's the opposite side of the holidays, is people can feel incredibly isolated and alone and disappointed because there's so much buildup to it. But in essence, the holidays should mean what they kind of summed up on this show of being charitable and giving and caring.
Yeah, and you really see on this episode how much of a family the crew are.
Yeah, very good. Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You're absolutely right. What were you going to say?
Just that they are a family.
Because I have the perfect clip to share with everybody, and it's something that we have been saying from the beginning of how they gelled and how they had their characters down and how they all really worked well together as actors on this show, and that we really enjoy the dynamic between all of them.
I mean, you really truly do feel like they got along and they liked each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is, as the captain was sort of wasn't it when he was kind of feeling better, as he came back after that encounter with Tony? I can't remember where it was, but...
It was after he gave the gift to Tony. I think he was going back to his cabin, maybe feeling a little downtrodden about the incident.
And the whole crew, including the priest, were waiting in his office, and this is what happened.
What is this?
Well, frankly, Captain, we were feeling kind of sorry for ourselves.
Oh, sir. I mean, it's fun to spend Christmas with the passengers, but it's not the same as spending it with your family.
And then we got to thinking, well, we don't just have one family. We've got 2.
And, well, you're not just the captain to us, sir. You're the head of the family. Our family.
And why shouldn't our family spend Christmas together?
You see, sometimes we try too hard to get what we've had all along.
I think that I'm allergic to this beard. I want to say something to all of you. I'm proud to have you on my crew. I'm even prouder to count you among my friends.
This darn beard.
Sir, it's for you. It's from all of us.
Well, I thought we had a rule that we'd never exchange Christmas presents.
Oh, sir, we thought just this once.
A rule is a rule, Mr. Smith. But sometimes rules were made to be broken. Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
Thank you, sir.
So they summed up basically everything that we had already been saying. That's why it was such a cool clip and such a strange clip, because it's exactly how we feel about this. And it was really wonderful, like that. Then they did have gifts for one another. Julie got all all choked up during the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was really, really nice, because that did kind of sum up the season and kind of our feelings on this show, honestly, and why we kind of started the podcast. So that was really kind of cool. Oh God, no, you know what we forgot?
Florence Henderson and Shecky Green.
No. Well, that one's weird. That one is just weird. What do you think about that? Because they just basically, after he starts getting hammered,
yeah, drinking champagne.
Alcohol saves their relationship. And the one time,
because he turns loose and funny, and she likes that.
The one time in human history where alcohol actually it makes things better, it's like, as a matter of fact, I really do want another one of these Isaacs. I got to be honest. Yeah, like he gets loose and then they start laughing and start realizing that they do like one another, just because he got trashed on the show.
Pretty much. But, champagne will do that to you.
I guess. Yeah, you do like champagne.
I do.
No, the part I was going to say was we've had the confrontation with John Gavin of threatening the life of his partner, but then all of the sudden he changes his tune because of the gift of music and the angelic voice of Florence Henderson. And then they come in to go to the dining room, to go to the captain's table. And then Walt Perry grabs this guy and he's like, leave me alone. You're like, get away from me, Walt. And he's like, wait, you gave me the gift of my life. And so this is what happens. Walt Perry tells him that he has called the police
from the ship to shore
to turn himself in. Now, here's the thing. I don't know that works in some sort of white collar crime exactly. This is not a murder or anything like that.
Right.
He's already done the time. You can't take the time back. So he's gone to the trouble of turning himself in for this crime that's already basically been paid for. And the thing that he could have just done, in my opinion, is he could have paid him some sort of financial restitution, which would be more valuable at this point. And then he got him back onto the bar, right? Like reinstated.
Yeah, but maybe the only way he could get him back onto the bar was to clear his name, because they're not going to let a criminal back onto the bar. So by him admitting to the crime, cleared his name.
This was the biggest change of heart of all time by
all it took
turning
was a
yourself.
gun.
Now, hang on. I would also like to just give the advice out there. I know that everyone has grudges and vendettas and has revenge in the back or in the forefront of their mind. Let me just give a couple of examples of things you can do other than murdering someone. You could do the classic flaming bag of poo. You could key someone's car. You could do prank phone calls. Or, my best example, I used to work in the janitorial field, and me and all my friends that work there, all musicians, we didn't like our boss. So what do? you write a musical. You write a musical that makes fun of the person that you're working for. I think that that's a clever and unusual form of revenge. You know, instead of bringing a pistol onto a cruise to murder your former partner and complicate your life even further.
That's a lot less traumatic.
Yeah, quite a bit less traumatic. But that's really it. I mean, that's the show, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and as you touched on earlier, they do find out that the captain is the one paying for the cruise for the boys. And then one of the boys slips up even and says that captain goes once a month to visit the kids at the orphanage.
See?
And he plays, throws the ball around with them, brings them gifts, hangs out with them, which nobody knew about on the ship. They kind of always just thought he was this cranky guy.
Yeah, the captain is awesome, and he was the one who was doing all that stuff. He had more, what than sense? Something like that? More something than sense? I can't remember. You came up to me, Michelle hits me with, where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I haven't watched this episode yet. That's what the kids said.
Yeah.
As they left the ship in the classic, like one kid's on the shoulders. That made no sense at all because they were just leaving the ship. It would make more sense.
But then they had a bottle of champagne that they had actually stolen.
Oh, yeah, they stole booze. Orphans are good at stealing booze, people.
Orphans are just good at stealing.
Yes.
We learned that in Oliver.
They really are.
The first Noel, the angels did say, walk to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay.
All right, so thanks again for being on this episode 11, this very special Christmas in Summertime episode of Love in the Love Boat. We're going to leave you today, like all special Christmas episodes, with the beautiful voice of Florence Henderson. And we just want to remind everybody...
I'll spare you mine.
We want to remind everyone to check out the Instagram. You can get obviously, like we've said, the recipe for the Isaac from the man himself.
Make a drink, send us a pic.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I think we're going to post our photo of the drink in our hillbilly, what are these, mason jars that we drink out of? What's it going to take to get this woman to take the hint that I want another Isaac? And
we can fit more in that way. Man, I really wish you would take a hint and make me another Isaac.
Wait, I can hear your inner monologue.
I can hear yours too.
Why don't you just make... Well, all right, fine. Let's just go make our own Isaacs.
Yeah. Cheers.
So until next time, I'm Istvan.
I'm Michelle.
And we're loving the Love Boat.